7.2, disk management. So simple volumes, right? So in this project, we'll use the disk management tool, which I should have not closed, to configure and manage simple volumes on the first virtual hard disk that you added to your virtual VM2 virtual machine. Okay, so we're going to take that first disk. So we're going to go ahead and go back over to, and this is where I got to be real careful, right, to not be on my computer, but to be on the actual virtual machine. Uh-oh. All right. Here's my disk management utility. Sorry if I was screen moving. I'm trying to. All right. So the disk management. Right-click, start disk management. Do view disk partitions. The first disk 0 is the basic disk that contains the two primary partitions. Right. So this base disk 0. I don't have two partitions. We only have the one. Oh, this is the one they're talking about. So this one that says disk 1 is the, wow, this looks a lot different than it did like 30 seconds ago. Ah, like this is where I messed up last time. All right, so the last year, this is what I'm looking at right here is not. This is not my virtual machine. This is my actual HPV server. Okay. This 0V, that's E drive, that's my virtual machine drive. So I opened up disk management on the wrong, and you can see that I'm missing my. Right, so if I maximize, here's my HPV. Okay. Now, when I right mouse click and go to disk management, I should see those 4 disks that we created earlier. Yeah, so there they are. Almost broke it again. So, right, so disk 1, disk 2, disk 3, disk 4, and here's my primary partition, or my system reserve partition, and my NTFS. And you can see all 4 disks there. Okay, so that's the piece that we're working with. And I hate to keep bouncing back and forth, but it's I have to, because I actually wonder if I should just, I'm just going to put these two together there and make that maximized so I can see what's going on. Okay, I'm just going to have to flip back and forth. I won't be able to do this side by side. It's too distracting. Okay. Right, so this is where we're still on number 1 here, 7.2, number 1. We started up disk management, right? I started up the wrong disk management. That's, you got to be real careful, right? Because technically, I could have started up the one on my local machine, or the HPV server, which is the one I did, or the hypervisor server, the VM that we're actually working on. So just be really careful with which one you're messing with, because if you get the wrong one, right, then you could actually do what I did in the summer semester last year, which was delete off my system partition on my primary HPV server. Just wiped out my server in a matter of seconds. Okay, so this is the machine I'm most concerned with. I'm gonna minimize that so we can see what's going on here. And it's not giving me, like, it's not letting me. Oh, so this is maximized. Okay. All right, we'll go back over here. The remaining disk 1, 2, 3, and 4 are offline state and do not contain any partitions. Right click disk 1, click online. Next, right click disk 2 and click online. Then right click disk 3 and click online. Right, notate disk 1, 2, and 3 are labeled as not initialized to indicate that they have not been, do not have a partition table. Okay, so the very first step they want us to do, right mouse click here, click online. Right click here, click online. Right click here, click online. Maybe. All right, so now we have not initialized. It doesn't say offline, it says not initialized. And we were only told to do that on 1, 2, and 3, right? We're not touching disk 4 apparently, not yet. All right, so now number 3 here, right click disk 1 and click initialize disk. Right, the default option will place an MBR on disk 1, 2, and 3. Click OK. Disks are labeled as basic to indicate they are now recognized as basic disk. All right, so we're going to initialize the disk. So I'm going to go back over here, initialize the disk. We're going to initialize all 3 of them. It by default puts the master boot record. Right. I'm not sure. We're going to do that, but in the real world, I wouldn't do that. I would just use GPT because most disks that you have, especially on servers, aren't going to be small enough for MBR to work. For this case, they do because they're tiny, right? For 25 gigs, not a big deal. All right, so that was number 2. No, that was number 3. Now, number 4, right click on the 50 gigabyte unallocated space on disk 1, right? So remember, we have 25. Click new simple volume. Right? At the new simple volume wizard, click next. We're going to specify type 5,000. Wonder if that's, let's see if that how that works. Right? So right click on the partition, new simple volume. I'm going to click next. Okay. So it wants me to do 5,000, right? So this disk can handle, let's do 2,500, right? Because I told us to have everything. So 2,500. Next, it doesn't want us to assign the drive letter. The D, E is sure. Okay, so E is fine. They want us to call it simple volume 1. All right. So assign the drive letter E. That's great. And NTFS default simple volume 1. Okay. I think it wants us to do quick. Yeah, it just wants to click next for quick format. There we go. Click finish. And then once we're done, we should see, here's a simple volume. It's 2.4 gigabytes in size. We need to format drive E. So let's see if there was a follow-up to that. At the format partition page, note the default simple volume. Click next. Click finish. It should already be formatted. Why is it giving me that garbage? It is formatted. I'm going to close that. Windows just likes to do that. It does that with our Raspberry Pi stuff too. Kind of annoying. Okay, so simple volume 1, 2.44 gigs. Easy enough. That was step 4. Okay. So right click the 4512 unallocated space next to disk 1 and click new simple volume. We're going to do another one with 2,500. So right here, new simple volume. Next, 2,500. Oops. 2,500. Click next. It's going to be the F drive. That's fine. Simple volume 2 is the name. So F drive is great. And then simple volume. Oh my gosh, 2. All right, next, finish. Whoops, I went back. Finish. Okay, that was number 5. Number 5 is done. We basically created a new simple volume, called it simple volume 2. We allocated 2,500, which is 2.4 gigabytes of space. Right. And if we look here, we can see simple volume 244, that's E drive. This one, oh, there's F drive. Okay, I'm like, where did it go? I think it was finishing up the partition of the formatting. All right, so those are good. Those look good. Let's see what we got to do next here. So 4 creates a disk or a volume. 5 creates a volume. 6 creates a volume. That's going to be volume 3. 7 creates a volume. That's volume 4. This last one gets into some weird stuff, so we're going to wait for that one. These other ones look like they all are all the same. Right, so I need a disk 3 and a simple volume 3 and a simple volume 4 using the exact same methods that we just did. So we're going to right mouse click, new simple volume, next, 2,500, next, assign the letter G is fine. We're going to call this new simple volume 3. Is that the name of it? No, not new, just simple volume. Got it. Simple volume 3. Okay, next, finish. As soon as that's done, I'm going to right mouse click on the unallocated space, new simple volume. I only have $24.99 left. Is that right? That doesn't seem right. Okay, there we go. That was weird. 2,500. Next, it's going to be drive H. This is going to be simple volume 4. Click next, click finished. So if I'm not mistaken, right? If we did 4, 5, 6, and 7, we should have 4 simple volumes, right? Simple volume 1, simple volume 2, simple volume 3, simple volume 4, right? And I still have, in this case, 15 gigs of free space left, which is half of what they think we should have. Number 8, we're doing a simple volume, but I saved it because we see there's some weirdness going on here. Okay, so at the simple volume wizard, click next. At the specified volume size, note the default value that uses the remaining available disk space. Okay, click next. So in this case, right mouse click here, new simple volume. I'm going to click next. We're going to leave the full drive, the rest of the drive. Next. Now, at the assigned drive letter or path page, select mount in the following empty NTFS folder and click browse. Click new folder, type data, press enter to create a new folder called data on the C drive. Click OK. Note that the new volume will be accessed via the C drive data folder. Okay, so over here, mount in the following empty NTFS folder. We're going to click browse. We're going to click, you can see I've got highlighted C drive. I think we'll be all right. I don't think we're using a bunch there. I'm going to go to E. I'm going to select E instead of C, just so because I know there's a lot of space there. Then I'm going to do new folder, and this is going to be called data. And that's what they want us to call it, data, just data, right? Data. Click OK. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to not assign a drive letter, but I'm going to mount this volume 15. I'm on the E drive. No, I'm not. Well, in a long way I am. I'm trying to think through this. Let's put it back on C. I'm going to do C just because that's what it said to do. I don't want to get us into any kind of some weird loop or something. Okay, click OK, and then click next. And we're going to call it the new volume. And then do they want us to call it? They want a simple volume 5. Okay. So simple volume 5. Okay. Click next and finish. All right. So 8, what 8 is doing is mounting a partition in a folder on the C drive. Okay. And now that we click finish, it should be done. You can see right here, simple volume. It doesn't have, you can see it doesn't have a letter designation. Okay. And number 9 is going to have us go look at this. So in the File Explorer, highlight this PC, navigate, note the volume drive letters available and their associated labels, double click the C drive, go to the data folder. Okay. So it's going to be pretty straightforward. So we go ahead and close disk management. And then open up File Explorer. And if we go to this PC, you should see right here's all my volumes, right? E, F, G, and H. Okay. Does that match what we were doing? Those are the first 4 volumes. Those first 4 volumes that we created. What happened to volume 5? Right? Volume 5 is not here, right? There's an E, F, G, and H. There's 4 simple volumes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. That other one we mounted to a folder. So if I open up the C drive, you'll see that I have a data folder. Look at the little icon there, right? So this little icon indicates that this is actually, and you can see the size, right? Massively big. And for our purposes is big, right? But this is now this folder, which is on the C drive. Well, it looks like it's on the C drive. It's mounted from the C drive, but it's actually that last partition on disk 1. Right? So it's the last partition on disk 1. And it's loaded up on here, right? So I've got an extra 16 gigs of data available to the C drive that's actually being stored on the E drive. Actually a virtual disk inside the E drive. After a while, the nesting gets to be a problem, right? So just be aware of it. All right. Yay. So we can see the C drive is there. And if you double click on it, right, if you go into the data drive, you can see it's just an empty folder. Okay. That's all they really wanted to do right there. In disk management, right click simple volume 5 and click shrink volume, type 10,000 in the, enter the amount of space to shrink, right? And then click shrink. Okay, so they want us to shrink volume 5. So I need to go back to disk management, which I closed. All right, so here's disk management, and I misspelled simple. Awesome. They want us to shrink the volume. And I've got 15 gigs, and they want us to go down to 10,000. So that makes sense. We can do that. It's not going to query as much space as the lab is asking for, but it'll query just fine. So I can reduce down. So enter the amount to shrink in megabytes. Let's take a look at this again. So it does say enter 10,000 in the amount of space. So we are creating a 10 or a 9.77 gigabyte unallocated space. So that's fine. So we're going to shrink. And now you can see I've got that space is now free space unallocated. And my simple volume is now 5.4 gigs. And if I come over to my C drive, you can see that my space is now in line with what we just configured. Cool, cool, cool. Right click simple volume 5, delete the volume, and then click yes to remove the simple volume. We do all this work to put all this stuff together, then they just say destroy it. So simple volume, delete the volume. Volume's gone. Okay, if I go to File Explorer, I can see 1, 2, 3, and 4. If I click on the local drive, right, data does not exist any longer, right? And you can also see there's no size over here. So this is more or less a refresh issue, right? But this drive no longer, that folder, this launch point, this mount point, no longer points to anything that's actually of any use. All right. So that was number 11. Right click or click delete volume, click yes, remove some volume. Right click 4, click delete volume, and click yes to delete volume 4. All right. So volume 4, right mouse click, delete. All right. So that one's deleted. Right click the extended partition on disk 1, which is the free space, and click delete partition. All right. Delete partition. Now we have 17 gigs of unallocated space. Right click simple volume 3, click delete volume, simple volume 2, delete volume, simple volume 1, extend volume. So 2 and 3 we're going to get rid of. Right mouse click delete. Right mouse click delete. And now I've got one simple volume and 22.56 gigabytes of available space. Simple volume 1, we're going to extend the volume. We want us to select the entire remaining hard drive. So right mouse click, extend volume. Next, we want everything that's over here. And then finish. And now you see I have one big simple volume. One big simple volume. So I think at the point where you had all 5 volumes, you probably should have taken a screenshot now that I think about it, because we've gone through and we wiped it out. I think at this point you take a screenshot that shows that you have a single simple volume across all of across the entire disk. File Explorer, right click this PC, navigate, note that only C and E volumes are now available. So the local disk, data folder, note to the error you see when clicking OK, includes File Explorer. Right click, volume 1, delete volume. Okay, so basically, I think this one here, we've already done that. Like we've already gone and looked, right? And we already saw the errors. We've already seen how the volumes look on the actual machine itself. And then for this last piece, they want us to delete the volume. And I believe, right, that's 7.2. 7.2 is just simple volumes. Nothing fancy. You can extend, you can shrink. When you create a volume that spans 2 disks, it's no longer called a simple volume, but a spanned volume or a striped volume, depending on how you do it. Right, but simple volumes are only on a single hard drive and only in single contiguous space on the disk. Okay,